This is Ankur Patel, Director of Advancement for Hindu University of America. Today's webinar, coming to you on Sunday, a little bit different schedule, is Hinduism a religion? Kind of an interesting question, and obviously there's a lot of different layers to it. We're asking for different reasons, and it's a good way to get plugged into Hindu University of America, asking these fundamental questions. And we have a few more people joining us. We're only at 42. Maybe we'll take a quick second to give an introduction to Kalyanji. I'll give an introduction of Kalyanji. Kalyan Viswanathan is, the president of Hindu University of America. It's been my privilege of working with him closely since last March and really taking this university on a reinvention phase and a path and a trajectory where we done all the due diligence, we've looked into all this stuff, and it's amazing the amount of knowledge and wisdom and the ways that Kalyanji can provoke the conversation and get us to think about deeper things. It's always amazing, it's appreciated. I'm grateful that he's leading this institution, Hindu University of America, as we move into our transformational phase, right? We're just about to start the summer quarter. This next week, classes will open, and over the last 4 quarters, summer quarter, we're actually going to have the most enrollment, and it's because of participation in webinars like this, getting this information out there, and Kalyanji always taking the time to answer people's questions, walk us through the deep conversations and issues that need to happen. And he's going to give us a quick presentation, or a whole presentation on a series of different things. And as I mentioned earlier, we're looking forward to asking you your input using a new polling feature, or a polling feature that we're going to be using. So I guess without further ado, let me hand it over to Kalyanji to get this webinar started. Thank you for being on.
All right, terrific. Welcome to all of you. I'd like to keep this interactive today, and I want to begin with a quick question, and just to exercise our the chat window. I'm going to ask you a question in the chat window, okay? And kindly respond to me in the chat window, okay? Here's my question. Here's my question. The question is, where are you from? So just type in an answer. California, great. Dublin, California. Fremont, Ashburn, Virginia. San Jose, Dallas, Los Angeles, Pasadena. California is well represented. Louisiana, Hendon, Texas, Topeka, Kansas, New Jersey, Boston, San Jose, Ottawa, South Africa, did I see? Irvine, California, okay. Canada, Northern Virginia, all right. Any more? Arcadia, Los Angeles. Beautiful. So we've got quite a diverse group of people here. Oh, Dawalji is asking where I am from. I am from Dallas, Texas, which is where I'm participating in this webinar. Okay. So wonderful. We've got about 70 odd people in this. In Sarisha Komal says, I'm from South Africa. Okay, wonderful. Welcome. Welcome everybody from wherever you are. Okay, so this is just really great to have you all. So I'm going to start with a, first of all, a prayer. I mean, it'd be nice to acknowledge that today is a Guru Purnima day, right? Most of you might have heard about it, Guru Purnima. And I'm gonna now show you a slide, and then we'll just take you through a quick sort of a prayer, okay? All right, so there you go. That is the opening slide is Hinduism a religion. And in a moment, I'll ask you, where is that? What temple is that? But not quite yet. Let me do the prayer first, okay? So here is a caption: Transcending Time into the Timeless. So this is the picture of Dakshinamurti as a teacher. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurti Ahyam Sriyam Medam Prajnam Prayascha Swaha is the primordial teacher. And of course, you have Vyasa. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. Then who can forget Krishna? Yatra Yogeshwara Krishno Yatra Partho Dhanurdaraha Tatra Shri Vijayor Bhumir Dhruva Nitir Madir Mama. And Adi Shankaracharya Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram. And my own teacher, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, Sadasiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Now, this sequence of images honors the gurus, the various teachers, the Guru Parampara, the lineage that has kept this conversation alive for millennia after millennia, right? Somehow it has survived. We don't know why it has survived, but it has survived. But it seems like it has always been at the edge of extinction. Anybody seen that movie, Edge of Extinction? So here is Krishna speaking to Arjuna. He's saying, Imam vivasvate yogam proktavan ahamavyayam vivaswan manave praha manurikshvakave bravit. What does that mean? That means Krishna is telling Arjuna, hey Arjuna, I taught this originally to Vivaswan. Who taught it to Manu? Who taught it to Ikshvaku? And on and on. So the teaching has come down across the generations. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarishayo viduhu sa kaleneha mahatha yogho nashta parantapa. Krishna is continuing the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Because of the vast passage of time, the passage of the vast eons of time, this yoga that has come down to us across the paramparas, the traditions, it has been lost. Yogo nashta parantapa has been lost, or it's at the edge of extinction. It's at the precipice of being lost forever. Sa evayam maya tedhya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakhacheti rahasyam hetamuttamam. What he's saying is, because you are my friend and you are my devotee, I am going to restate this wisdom that I originally gave to Vivaswan, from whom it went to Manu, and on to Ikshvaku. Because of the vast passage of time, it has been lost. I am restating it all over again. Okay, there are people chatting on the chat window. Let's look at this. All right, good. So, so it seems like Vyasa restated it, reorganized the Vedas, the Puranas, the Itihasas, and so on, or at least a large portion of them. And then Krishna is restating them. And Adi Shankara himself is supposed to have rejuvenated and revived Hinduism at a critical time. And on, continuingly, ongoingly, people are reviving and rejuvenating and recovering what appears to be constantly on the edge of, on the precipice of sort of an extinction, to use a word that it's a drastic word, but it seems like that. But still, it has survived. Whatever it is, it has survived for a long, long time. Now, Before we go into the inquiry, I want to pose a question. Opinion, knowledge, and truth. I want to start off with a provocative question for all of you. And it's going to be done in the form of a survey. Okay, I'm going to ask Ankur to launch a survey. And I'd like you to answer these questions, okay? Just pick an answer. Do you know the difference between your opinion and the truth? That's a question. Do you know the difference between your opinion and the truth? So here are the multiple choices, okay? There is no difference. In other words, you think your opinion is the truth. Sometimes I know the difference. Sometimes you know the difference, and sometimes you don't. My opinion is my truth. If I have money and power, my opinion is the truth. An opinion widely held becomes the truth. Even if widely held, an opinion can never be the truth. An opinion becomes the truth when it can be scientifically proven. Okay, so those are the answers. Please go ahead and complete it, okay? Everybody, pick your answer. Just give you 1 minute, okay? Everybody, pick your answer. Cannot see poll. Why can't you see the poll? I don't know why they can't see the poll.
It might be on one of your settings, but it looks like 26, 27 people have voted so far. So depending on your settings, you may or may not be able to vote.
Okay, there is a poll and that has been launched. Okay, so we've got 41 responses so far, 42. So some people are able to see it for sure.
Yeah, maybe take a second to refresh or close the screen and open up again.
Okay. Good. Okay, you may be on a device that's somehow not supporting it. Okay, we're going to close it in just a few seconds, okay? 12 more seconds. Get your answers in. Yeah, it's just one choice. Pick one answer. I don't think it'll allow you to answer the...
Yeah, maybe by what?
All right, okay. Great. Okay, that's it, okay? So let us end the polling. And Ankur, can you show the answer, okay? Sharing poll results. Yes, I can see it. I can see it. I hope everybody can see it. So here is it. Okay, now I am very excited to note that almost nobody has answered there is no difference. That's pretty remarkable, actually. That nobody thinks that their opinion is in fact the truth. Some people are honestly saying, sometimes I know the truth. Some people are saying, if my opinion is my truth, I mean, you can have your truth, but my opinion is my truth. If I have money and power, my opinion is the truth. An opinion widely held becomes the truth. Even if widely held, an opinion can never be the truth. Okay, and the winner is, an opinion becomes the truth when it can be scientifically proven. Okay, so that's the 53% of the responses are saying science. I want to point to science to find out if something is the truth or not. Okay, all right, shall we stop sharing that for now, for the time being?
Okay, some people did answer the second question, but we're gonna save that.
Now we're gonna save that for a little bit more, okay? So we're gonna launch the second question just a little bit. Then we'll see the results, okay?
Okay.
All right, so here is the thing, okay? So all of you know that science is a very important marker of truth. It's a marker, but is it the truth? Does science really, generate the truth? We'll get to that in a minute, okay? But here is a slide on opinion, knowledge, and truth. Very famous, a very famous Indian story. All of us can recognize this one. Everyone can ascertain some facts, and everyone can generate a perspective. But can anyone find the whole truth about anything? Can anyone find the whole truth about anything? Can anyone ever know everything there is to know? I think that's pretty easy. That's a no. Nobody can. That's an easy one. Can anyone be sure that they know everything there is to know about any one thing? Okay. And we all know that we can all have perspectives, opinions, perspectives, points of view, but we should simply not confuse it with the truth. Okay, great. So second, let's take the survey of the second question. Launch that. Okay, now let's go to the second question. Okay, so the second question says, how do you deal with the difference of opinion with another? How do you deal with the difference of opinion with another? Okay. Ignore and disengage, debate and persuade, argue and fight, dominate and annihilate, listen and learn, negotiate and compromise. Those are the choices. Okay, looks like everybody's answered the second question already. So we can actually, okay, all right. So we can show the results, okay? 57 people have answered. Can you show the results?
Those are the results. It says
Oh, those are the
44
results.
people selected listen and learn.
So 77% of you are saying you listen and learn. Wow. I should really, really ask your spouses in your home, you know, or your children or somebody very close to you if that's really true, that you are very open to listening and learning at all times. Let's see. Cannot see poll results. Okay. All right. Anyways, so moving on, right? Nowadays, it's very fashionable to pretend to know. It's very fashionable. You know, it's very pretend, you can pretend that you know something, and you really don't. So here is a little cartoon. So here's a kid who's saying, the mother is saying, your report card says you flunked every class. Why did you tell me you got straight A's? This kiddo is saying, oh, I was just providing you alternate facts. And this is the order of the day today. You know, if you can establish the truth by being a loud, aggressive bully, do you need to bother with the facts at all? So it gives rise to the era, contemporary era in which we are living, fake news and propaganda. Okay, and somehow there are maybe different degrees of being fake. Different, you know, you can engage in propaganda in a very sophisticated way, or in a very blatant way, in a very crude way, and so on. But it seems like the order of today is to engage in manufacturing news and engage in propaganda. So, does the truth matter anymore? So, it's a question, it's a rhetorical question. Now, here is a classification: categories, sets, and elements of sets. So, here is a category called animals, and you can see all these elements belong to the set called animals. Right? That's quite straightforward. If you create a different category called mammals, you'll get a different set of elements. If you create a different category called amphibians, you will get a different set of elements. If you can create an entire category called birds, and you'll get a different set of elements. You can create a category called dogs, and you'll get lots of different kinds of dogs, the Alsatian and the Chihuahua and the Great Dane and the German Shepherd and on and on. Okay, so there is all kinds of ways of classifying the universe, right? So here is where there is the contemporary notion where our understanding is Hinduism is an element of a set called world religions. So religions is a category, which consists of many, many elements. It's a set with many elements, and Hinduism is an element in that set. And that's kind of our contemporary understanding. And if you go to Wikipedia, if you go to, it's like Encyclopedia Britannica, or you go to, no matter where you go, you're going to find this story that Hinduism is an element of a set called world religions. There are these things called world religions, and Hinduism is one of them. Okay. However, Hinduism is an exonym. So what's an exonym? While an endonym is a name given by an ethno-linguistic group, an exonym, on the other hand, is a name given by an external ethno-linguistic group to that same thing. Okay, you got to sort of focus a bit on this definition. An endonym is a name given by an ethno-linguistic group. An exonym, on the other hand, is a name given by an external ethno-linguistic group to that same thing. Let's look at some examples. So here are a few exonyms, okay? Germany, Persian, Peking, India, Hinduism, religion. What are the endonyms? Deutschland. So let's understand what this means. People who live in Germany, who speak German, they believe that they belong to a country called Deutschland. And they call themselves Deutschland, people of Deutschland. Whereas the whole world, the rest of the world thinks of them as being Germans, coming from Germany. Okay, so this is a distinction, how people call themselves within an ethno-linguistic group and outside the ethno-linguistic group. So Persian is an exonym, Farsi is an endonym, Peking is an exonym, Beijing is an endonym. Okay, so now let's extend yourself. If India is an exonym, what is the endonym? Somebody just type your answer, okay? What is the endonym? Okay, Bharat. Very good, very good. Bharat. Okay, India has many endonyms. Hindustan. All right, many endonyms. Okay, good. Now, so I'm going to use the word Bharat here. Okay, somebody saying Jambu Dvipa. All right, great. Now, if Hinduism is the exonym, what is the endonym? Aryavarta, Sanatana Dharma. None. We don't call ourselves anything. Okay. Sanatana Dharma. All right. Come on, let's get some more. Dharma. Very nice. Some more answers. If you have different answers. Right to opinion. Okay. Sanatana Dharma. Hindustan is exonym, not endonym, right? No, I think Hindustan could be an endonym. Vedic Dharma, all right, that's nice. Atham's means opinion, okay. We do not have a word equivalent. Hinduism is life, says Kanu Sahajwala. Way of life, Sanatana Dharma. Okay, good. So I'm not going to answer that question, okay. So I'm just going to put Narayan Raju says truthfulness, Satya. Okay, now next question. Next question. If religion is an exonym, what is the endonym? Pantha, okay. Dharma, Matha, karma, caste. Matham, okay? Come on, let's get some more. Beliefs, faith, way of life. Sampradaya, beliefs, values, dharma, values and beliefs. Okay. Now, traditions, sampradaya, moral values, practice, depends on the ethno group. Okay. Now, I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to leave it with a question mark. Okay. But I wanted to sort of begin the conversation with this distinction called exonyms and endonyms. Okay, so there's lots of examples. Kolkata versus Calcutta, Bengaluru versus Bangalore, and on and on. You can find it all over the world. Okay, let's move on from this. What is the thing that Hinduism represents? What is the thing that Hinduism represents? Okay, so here is the what is the thing that the term that the exonym Hinduism represents? That's the question. Eternal truth, says somebody. Okay, so here are some choices. Sanatana Dharma. Hinduism represents Sanatana Dharma. Hinduism represents Hinduism. There's nothing else. Hinduism represents Hindu Dharma. It's a religion. It's a tradition. It's a family of traditions. It's a culture. It's a civilization. It's a way of life. What is it? All right. So here the chat window is lighting up. Let's see what people are saying.
Can I ask the poll?
Do you have the poll? Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Let's do the poll. Yeah. Should be interesting, everybody. We're starting a poll again.
Sorry, I should have launched the poll before you chatted in the chat window.
That's okay. That's okay. No problem. Go ahead. Go ahead, everybody. Forgot about the poll there for a minute. 1 minute. Fast. Don't think too much. Somebody says there should be an option called all of the above.
Mm. Nice, just about 75 people answered in a minute.
We'll keep it up for a few more seconds.
Yeah.
Weigh in, everybody. Just put your choice in.
Okay.
All right, let's show the results. Okay, fascinating. Okay, so the winner is way of life. Okay. Now, the trouble with this answer, this particular answer, right, is that it's not very illuminating. It is not very illuminating for the following reason. Okay, you know, I mean, even you know, let's take an example here. Even alcoholism is a way of life, or you know, what else? What else can you call a way of life? There are lots
You're right.
of
Any
different
kind
ways
of
of
behavior pattern is a way of life.
Yeah. So the description of way of life does not illuminate. Okay, even though it has become very common for that to become the kind of the default way of describing it. Yeah, here is Ashaji saying criminality is a way of life. Being vegan is a way of life. So the problem with that, with the phrase way of life, is that it is not particularly illuminating. It's easy to use, all right. It's too generic and not specific. Yeah, just be this is absolutely correct. Anything can be a way of life. Being a sportsman is a way of life. Sports person is a way of life. Being a musician is a way of life. So it does not distinguish it.
But I think that reflects the fact that there isn't a lot of clarity around this and why this conversation is important.
Yeah, correct. All right. Okay, good. Very good. Excellent. So now we're going to make a radical shift. Okay. We're going to move to a completely different realm and come at it from a different place. Okay. There are many cosmic mysteries here for us to ponder. Of course, in the era of coronavirus, I don't suppose we are pondering much, being as anxious as we are about our current circumstances. Or we are stuck at home and we have nothing else to do except to ponder all the time. I mean, whichever is true for you. But here are a few cosmic mysteries for us to ponder. Who created this universe? What is the nature of that creator? What was there before the Big Bang? So the science says there was a Big Bang. All right, there was a Big Bang. Let's grant that Big Bang to science. What was there before the Big Bang? Why was there a Big Bang to begin with? Who or what caused the Big Bang? Is time linear or cyclic? Very interesting question. Will the universe eventually collapse? Are atoms and molecules intelligent? How do they know how to get organized into compounds and composites and form all this seemingly intelligent life on the planet? Is there an ordering intelligence behind the universe? Where is that intelligence located? How does the very first instance of a species come into being? If one species is simply mutating into another species, if species are continuously evolving, where are all the intermediate forms? Why are they so rare? Does consciousness emerge from matter? Or does matter emerge from consciousness? What happens when we die? Or does some part of us survive death? Okay, interesting questions. Okay, these are just questions. They do not belong to the realm of science, or realm of religion, or theology, or spirituality, or philosophy. They're just questions. And you can approach these questions from many, many different angles and perspectives. Let's take an example. Take the phenomenon called light. Okay. So is light a wave or is it a particle? Or is it both? Or is it neither? Okay. I want to hear from you. Just type into your chat window four answers. A wave, a particle, both, neither. Both. Somebody's saying, a couple of people are saying both. Both. There's lots of both. Wave and particle. Wave, both depending on the context. Okay. Particle. Neither. Okay. Who's saying neither? Somebody says neither. The Sham Sundars is saying neither. Okay. Raghavendra ji is saying neither. Okay. Okay. I want to hear from the person who said neither. Who is this person with the number 4128? 412840. Ankur, can you unmute that person? 4128. Promote them to a panelist. I want to hear from that person. Why do you say neither? Why do you say neither? Anshumalini. Yeah, both are models. Yeah, correct. believe it or not, this is not a matter of opinion, okay? You know, the right answer is neither. Light is neither a wave nor a particle, because both waves and particles are merely models, scientific models for understanding the phenomenon called light. Okay, so you have the wave theory of light, you have the particle theory of light, the wave model of light, particle model of light, and when you look at light through the model of wave, it behaves like a wave. If you look at light through the model of particle, the theory of particle, it behaves like a particle. So interestingly, in and of itself, light is just what it is. It's just light. But human beings create models for understanding the phenomenon called light. We have wave models and we have particle models. Who knows? We might invent a third model to understand light. That's possible, right? Yeah, photon, everything is a model, sir. Just be it. So this is one of the major confusions in the world. You know, most people are very confused about this, and which is why in the majority of the people who answered both, you know, it's simply not both. It is simply what it is. The model, the wave model and the particle model exists in the human mind. It is created by human beings as a way of understanding the phenomena called light. See how easy it is to get confused about this. Okay, let's go on. Now, the solar system, same phenomenon, two theories. Okay, you know, observing the sun going round and round and round the earth, or seemingly as it appeared. There was the geocentric model once upon a time, which was received knowledge. And when Galilei said that, well, maybe that's not the case, maybe the earth goes around the sun, it was a huge problem. He was placed under house arrest for proposing heretic views that were opposed to the received biblical knowledge. And it was not without an extensive, protracted opposition, a real contest of ideas, that a new paradigm displaced its predecessor. Ultimately, a new generation decides that the old paradigm works, that the new paradigm works better than the old one, leading to the slow demise of the old paradigm. So even in science, so-called, there are multiple paradigms or multiple ways of understanding, explaining phenomenon, and predicting phenomenon. Okay. Gravity, same phenomenon, two theories. Newton's fixed space theory. Gravity is a force that depends on the mass of objects that exert their force on each other across space. Einstein's flexible space-time theory. Gravity is a distortion of space and time that depends on energy, which in turn affects all matter. Okay, you don't have to understand all of that. All that counts is there are two different theories explaining the same underlying phenomena. Both are scientific, so to speak. Now, one good thing is Einstein is not terribly confused about this. He's in fact got it right. Here's what he has to say. Truth about reality versus models of reality. Here's a quotation from it. Science is the attempt to make the chaotic diversity of our sense experience correspond to a logically uniform system of thought. In this system, single experiences must be correlated with the theoretic structure in such a way that the resulting coordination is unique and convincing. The sense experiences are the given subject matter. That is what you see, what you observe, what you experience is the subject matter. But the theory that interprets them is man-made. Outstanding. Albert Einstein is very clear about it. But the rest of us are very confused. We do not adequately make the distinction between the theory that is man-made and the experience, the sense experience that produces the data about which the theory is being proposed. So this theory, this man-made theory, human-made theory, is the result of an extremely arduous process of adaptation, hypothetical, never completely final, always subject to question and doubt. Remarkable quotation, one of my favorites actually. And it puts science very much in perspective. So here is a very interesting example. Okay, the true age of the earth. If you take, you ask the question, how old is this earth? How old is this universe? If you take that question, how old is this universe? Everybody has speculated on it. Everybody and their mother has speculated on it, right? And they've all come up with different answers. And you will find, interestingly, that the theories or the speculations or the propositions from Hinduism, from the Vedic knowledge system, corresponds most closely to modern science or contemporary science, most closely. Okay, and the proposed age of the earth from Hinduism and modern science are too close to be unremarkable. Whereas, look at all the other speculations, right? And you got to ask yourself, what was the means? What was the means of knowledge? What was the pramana, the means of knowledge, the method of inquiry that led the Hindus to make this estimate of the age of the earth? Whether we like to call them Hindus or not, the people, the rishis, the Vedic rishis, what was the means of knowledge they used to make this estimate? How did they know this? Did they have telescopes? Did they have, did they have other kind of modern question about modern tools and techniques? How did they arrive at this? What do you think? Yeah, search within. Okay. How did they know? What was the pramana? What was the means of knowledge? Intuition, divine download. Ellen, that's interesting. Divine download. Yeah, it's, there is something called revelation. We'll get to it in a minute. But it's quite remarkable that Hindus, for being so primitive and all, they did come up with an estimate that appears to be the closest to contemporary knowledge, right? Yeah, they were mathematicians, Vedas. The Vedas are the recording of that knowledge, right? The Vedas is a means of transmitting the knowledge. But my question is, where did the knowledge come from originally before it got transcribed into the Veda, right? Antajnana. Yeah. All right, good. So here is a quotation from our friend Carl Sagan. The Hindu religion is the only one of the world's great faiths dedicated to the idea that the cosmos itself undergoes an immense, indeed, an infinite number of deaths and rebirths. It is the only religion in which time scales correspond to those of modern scientific cosmology. Its cycles run from our ordinary day and night to a day and night of Brahma, 8.64 billion years long, longer than the age of the Earth or the Sun, and about half the time since the Big Bang. Now that's very interesting. There's somebody has recently written a thesis on what is the deal about that half the time since the Big Bang. It's a very interesting paper. And Carl Sagan is perplexed by the question, how did these Hindus arrive at this estimate? And so he adds, and I've not added this part in the quotation, no doubt they accidentally discovered this. No doubt they accidentally, kind of like the Hindus stumbled onto this little piece of knowledge accidentally. That's the best you can do in terms of explaining how the Hindus knew this. All right, let's move on. The word is not the thing that it represents. So you got this thing here, which some people call it water, some people call it pani, some people call it aqua, some people call it chal, and apaha, and need, and surprisingly, Greek is also nira. It's pronounced nira. It makes no sense to say I love water, but I hate aqua or pani. right? The word is not the thing that it represents. So obviously, whatever it is that is being represented by the word Hinduism, it is not that, right? The word Hinduism is not the thing that it represents. Okay, let me go to the chat window. There's a lot of activity on the chat window. Yeah. Okay, so we'll get to some questions in a little bit here, okay? Another way of saying it, the menu is not the meal. The menu, the description is not the described. The description is not the described. So language represents something. It is not the thing that it represents. What is the thing that these words represent? What is the thing that these words represent? Okay, is it the same thing, or are they different things? I mean, what do those words represent anyway? They're just words that represent something. What is the thing that they are trying to represent? Thing one and thing two. So here's thing one, here's thing two. Thing one that we call water or pani or jal or apa is accessible to the senses. We can touch, taste, see, hear, and smell. And in the Vedic text, it is called apara vidya, that which is accessible to our senses. But this other thing is inaccessible to our senses. Or is it accessible? Is it known or unknown? Or is it partially known? Or is it both simultaneously known and unknown? Entirely known and entirely unknown. And this is what the Vedic texts designate as paravidya. Dve vidye veditavye paravai aparacha. Upanishadic Vakya. There are two kinds of knowledge here. Knowledge that is accessible to the senses and knowledge that is not accessible to the senses. Now, Satyam. So let us say Satyam is a word that represents the truth. Okay. So here is truth in the center. That Satyam can be approached from many different. Yeah. This truth can be approached from many different angles. You can approach it from science, from the angle of science, empirical, observable, quantifiable. You make very minute and delicate and profoundly, specific observations and measurements. And then on the basis of what you observed, you can create theories that attempt to explain what is being observed. Then you have religion. Religion fundamentally claims to come from a divine revelation, a supranormal divine revelation, whether it's a revelation given to Moses or Jesus or Muhammad or Arjuna or Vyasa or whoever, or Buddha and so on. There is a divine revelation aspect involved in it. Now one could argue the equation E is equal to mc squared was revealed to Einstein. One could argue it. There was no systematic mechanical process by which he could have arrived at it. He sort of saw it in one blinding moment of insight. Was it a revelation? We don't know entirely. But here is another access point, philosophy, which is rational human speculation, right? So logical, rational human speculation, postulation, and so on. Mathematics is a kind of philosophy because it's entirely human made. And lastly, you have this spiritual, and I'm adding it in here, a yogic, meditative, transcendental intuition from which supposedly new flashes of insight can emerge. Now, if you look at these four different access points as different ways of approaching Satyam or truth, right? And each one comes at it from a different angle. What you'll find is, within the world of Hinduism, all four are available. So, science can be represented by pratyaksha and anumana, observations and inference. Religion can be represented by shruti, smriti, purana. Philosophy can be represented by tarka and nyaya, or darshana for that matter. And spiritual can be represented by dhyana, samadhi, yoga, etc. And all of them collectively produce knowledge, jnana. So now let me ask you again, what is Hinduism? Is it a religion? What is it? Or is it a civilization? It's a worldview? Is it a philosophy? Is it a method? It's a practice? So clearly, Hinduism is a much vaster thing. And there are many, many elements that it contains, many, many systems of knowledge that it contains that do not readily conform to the categories that are exonymous categories. Yeah, somebody says Hinduism is not a revelation. Well, you got to think through that a little bit, okay? Now, let's move on. One of the problems, we got stuck with exonyms and forgot the endonyms, or didn't create endonyms, was because of this extraordinary phenomenon called colonialism. Colonialism created one of the greatest catastrophes in the world, which in large measure remains insufficiently acknowledged. And there were two major waves of invasion and colonization, during which time India's share of the world GDP fell dramatically. And it coincided with the rise of the United States and the United Kingdom, USA and UK. India's share of the world GDP collapsed over the last 300 years. And, India's population exploded, maybe around 1700 CE. The entire combined population of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh was only around maybe 200 million or even less than that. But what happened in the intervening 300 years or so is so extraordinary. It has simply not been adequately researched, analyzed, written about, and talked about, and so on. I've just thrown in Columbus arrives in America there. And there was, during this 300-year period, an extraordinary paradigm shift. Where the insider's voice, the insider's representation, the endonymous categories of knowledge were replaced with exonymous categories. Okay? And this created a kind of discourse which has become received knowledge. And through enormous amounts of repetition and regurgitation, endless citations, and chains of simple repetition, it has become a kind of received knowledge, established facts, that is, facts that cannot be contested. They're uncontestable facts. And what it has effected is a transfer of epistemic authority into the hands of the colonizers or the descendants of colonizers, who control the discourse about Hinduism. It's very tragic for the Hindus that this has become the default paradigm, the only way to understand Hinduism. So much so that even the categories, religion and Hinduism, are exonymous categories, and they don't give rise cleanly to corresponding endogenous categories. Some chat questions here. All right. Krishna Upadhyaya is saying GDP is a recent phenomenon. Yeah, it is. It is a recent phenomena, and this is a projection. Okay, and this projection was made by a professor by the name Angus Madison, based out of University of Groningen, in an extraordinary book called The Economic History of the World. Okay, so we've got to recognize that we can make projections backwards and forwards, and many times projections are pretty reasonably good. And if you read his book, you'll understand the meticulous way in which he's gone about his projections. So therefore, if you can call the Vedic religion Hinduism, you can make projections backwards in time, because that's all we have access to today, making projections backwards in time. What we call world history is nothing more than a projection. All right, let's go on. So this colonial discourse, and this ongoing colonial discourse, has created a certain paradigm, an important and critical paradigm. And what it has done is it's kind of moved away from the terminology, the ontology, the terms of reference of how we would understand this thing that we call Hinduism today, through endogenous terms, endonyms, right? Terms of reference like Dharma, Karma, Yoga, Brahman, Moksha, etc., Vedanta, Pramana, Yajna, Puja, and so on. Today, the way to understand all that is through these other categories, exogenous categories called Aryan invasion, Brahmanism, caste, superstition, Dalits, untouchability, human rights, discrimination, Hindutva, nationalism, exploitation, Neo-Vedanta, etc., etc. And what has happened is there has been a paradigm shift. And this paradigm shift can be represented in the following way. It is represented by those who pursue it in the name of, by the use of the word progress. Humanity has progressed, has left behind those old terms of reference, and has taken on new terms of reference. Okay. And it has replaced whom we would consider the experts of the old paradigm, Yajnavalkya, Valmiki, Vyasa, Krishna, Vasishta, Panini, Patanjali, Shankara, Ramanuja, etc., with new players, new proponents of this paradigm: Descartes, Kant, Weber, Hegel, Larsen, Nietzsche, Marx, Freud, Miller, and so on and so forth. And this is the nature of what has happened with the study of Hinduism. Okay. And what this has done is it has framed Sanatana Dharma, what we might call Sanatana Dharma, in a certain way. Okay. So how has it framed it? It's a very important slide. I'll go through this. So if you look at truth and falsehood as two ends of a spectrum, truth and falsehood as two ends of a spectrum, and you and I can, in generating hypotheses, in making claims, in asserting definitive knowledge, we can all be somewhere in the spectrum. Okay, all of us are somewhere in the spectrum. Okay, when it comes to this, the contemporary discourse about Sanatana Dharma, it ranges from, well, this is closer to the truth, it gets framed and represented as. So we're going to go through a set of things here. When Hinduism is a world religion, as a world religion, an aspect of Sanatana, as a world religion, it is closer to the truth that it is a vast family of related traditions. That's closer to the truth. It's a vast family of related sister traditions. No? It gets framed and represented as caste-ridden and exploitative, sort of chaotic thing, whatever the thing is. In the conception of divinity, while it is closer to the truth that it is plural, liberal, and diverse, okay, nobody who is inside, who's an insider to Hinduism would deny that. That's recognizable all over the place, right? It's plural, liberal, and diverse. It gets framed as primitive, grotesque, and childish. The Hindu civilization, while it is continuous and coherent, and one of the main, congruous and continuous civilizations of the world that is even living today, it gets framed and represented as incoherent and chaotic and even non-existent. Non-existent in the sense that all civilization has come into Hinduism, into the Hindu world from outside. The Hindu society, while it is closer to the truth that it is distributed and fragmented, it gets framed and represented as hierarchical and oppressive, like a permanent condition. The Sanskrit language, while it is closer to the truth that it is a repository, a vast repository of spiritual insight contained in thousands and literally millions of texts, right? It gets framed and represented as a mark of Brahminical privilege. And the Brahmin community, while it is closer to the truth that they were custodians of the heritage, the intellectual and spiritual heritage of Bharat, they were engaged primarily in teaching and preservation, not just for themselves, but for the whole community, across all communities. They get framed and represented as usurpers and exploiters. Hindu forms of worship, while it is closer to the truth that it provides for enormous degrees of freedom, choice, and variety, it gets framed and represented as false, regressive, and superstitious. And Hindu relationship with the other, while it is predominantly respectful and tolerant, it gets framed and represented as intolerant and dangerous. And Hindu attempt at restoration, while it's an effort to reclaim the Hindu narrative, our own story, it gets framed and represented as a revisionist distortion of the truth discovered by the colonials. And the Hindutva movement, while it is closer to the truth that it is an attempt to unify and protect the Hindu community, it gets framed and represented as the greatest threat to humanity. Okay, so this is the challenge, the backdrop, and I want to communicate the challenge and the backdrop. I know everybody's going to say, give me the slide now. Okay, so let's move on. Why do we need Hindu studies? Well, we got our family traditions, mandirs, rituals, gurus, ashrams. Why do we need an academic study of Hindu Dharma? Well, and what is the right approach to studying Hinduism? I'm going to rush through them. We are out of time. Here's a quotation from Swami Vivekananda. Hinduism means expansion, and expansion means realization. Man is to become divine, realizing the divine more and more from day to day in an endless progress, building up character and making for everything that is good and great, and bringing peace to others and peace to one's own self. Religion is the highest motive power, and therefore ought to be studied from that standpoint. And interestingly, both of these words, the word religion and the word Hinduism, are exonyms. Very important. They're outsiders' terms. Now, I want to invite you to a course called Orientation to Hindu Studies. It's a 1 credit hour course, approximately 10 hours of classes, 20 hours of self-study, 30 hours of work, maybe slightly more. We give a complete overview of all the programs, areas of study and courses, lots of interesting readings, taught by many faculty. It's a $300 course. It's a 1 credit hour course. It's starting on July 9th, which is 4 days from today. And it ends around the 17th of September. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time, a 60-minute class followed by 30 minutes of discussion. There are various learning outcomes. You'll be able to explore, distinguish, inquire, evaluate, discover, and create. It's a very engaging, interesting course. And my invitation to you, if you have not registered in this course already, please do so immediately. Okay, this course will enable you to recognize the possible value and opportunity of engaging seriously and rigorously with the study of that which we call Hindu Dharma or Hinduism. Okay, I'm going to skip through all this. We're out of time, really. Let me stop my sharing.
We have one more poll.
We got one
Do you
more
want to go
poll.
to that participation poll?
Why don't you open that poll? The last poll, okay?
All right, last poll.
Yeah.
So again, we've been doing webinars as part of our outreach. So just in terms of getting an understanding of you, still 100 people on the call where you're at, participation in past webinars, right? Have you attended one in the past? Is this your first? You just let us know. Have you taken the orientation to Hindu studies course in the past? If you've already enrolled in the summer? And really an important question at the end. Would you be interested in enrolling in orientation to Hindu studies?
Can you put the link for that course on the chat?
I will drop that in the chat window as well. Yes. Yes.
So there are 6 people who have taken the orientation to Hindu studies course already. Okay. There are nearly 49 people who have not taken it. Let's get some more answers here on the table. All right, so I'm gonna invite you personally, to take the orientation to Hindu studies course. Please do enroll and register. It's a $300 fee to enroll. Okay, some people are unable to respond to the polls. Got it. Yeah, people who have completed the course. Thank you for completing. There you go. Ankur has just posted the link. You can, while the matter is current and hot, you can click on that link, go to that screen and register right away. If you hesitate, the time will just go. The course begins on Thursday, July 9th. Okay, is the poll done? 67 people voted out of 99. 59 people have not registered yet, have not taken the orientation to Hindu studies. Please do take the course, because that's where you're going to get into a lot more detailed conversations, a lot of very interesting readings. Does anybody want to say a few words about the orientation to Hindu studies course who's already taken it? Just raise your hand or say something and we'll try to open you up for a
Yeah, in the participant window, you can hit your raise hand and then I can promote you to panelist and you can share your thoughts if you've taken the course before. There's energy. Yeah, if you're chatting, I'll just promote you real quick. See hand. Takes a quick second.
Yeah, so there is some homework. Upendra Nadipalli is being promoted. Yeah, Upendra ji, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I got disconnected. What was the question?
Have you taken the orientation to Hindu studies course?
Not yet. I'm taking a Sanskritam courses and a holistic yoga course now.
Okay, all right.
And
fine.
after these courses, I'll take.
Okay, got it. So I wanted to ask: has anybody taken the course who'd like to say a few words, encouraging the others to take the course?
I'm promoting a few people who are raising their hands. I'm assuming you're raising your hand because you want to be promoted.
Okay, Hasmukh Shah, why don't you unmute yourself, Hasmukh.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Hasmukh. You've taken the course.
I've taken the course. I just finished it in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Very enlightening. I basically got a lot of concepts which were not clear. That really cleared up and also made me encouraged to take more courses, learn different aspects.
Yeah.
It's a Sanskrit or holistic yoga. So I have signed up for the next course. But definitely for our youth, this will be definitely give you a clarity. I think so. The clarity is the right word.
Right.
We know so much, but we do not have compiled. We have not gone stepwise fashion. So this is very interesting. And by taking that, it will definitely be helpful in many other ways.
Yeah.
Not only for that, but it makes your mind become more kind of focused. That's one of the good benefit I got.
Beautiful. That's great. Okay, let's go. Let's move on. Savitri Rambatlaji, why don't you go ahead? You had to unmute yourself, Savitriji. And I think you should also turn on your video camera so we can see you. Ankur, put the link to the course in the chat window again. Savitriji, are you able to unmute or no? Okay, so let's go to Tej. Is that Tej Micherla? Asmukji, thank you for your.
Namaste Kalyanji, this is Tej Mitchell.
Can you show your? Can you turn on your video camera?
No, my camera is still flickering. So
Okay.
I have a problem with Zoom.
Oh, got it. Okay, all right. Go ahead.
So yeah, I'll watch for the orientation to Hindu studies. What it is it will take you to the core of what real Hinduism is, and it brings a lot of different mindset from different speakers, and it will conquer you to become a true Hindu. And what we have been taught, and basically it's dust, and what is being taught here is the real deal. And it's like peeling an onion. You just keep on going layer by layer and cleansing so that you get the cleanest version of what a true Hindu is. So that's my take.
Okay, all right. Actually, to put it, really, you don't really get to that much depth. What you do in the orientation to Hindu studies course is we kind of, we address topics to a certain level of depth, but we give you enough of a taste of it so you would be interested in more, and then move on to certain other topics. Okay, Savitriji, how about, are you ready?
Yes.
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. This was my first course, Orientation to Hindu Studies with Hindu University of America. It was just amazing. I mean, it opened my horizon. It opened my eyes. I didn't even realize what all the things that have been going on regarding colonialism, Hinduism, how we've been suppressed. So I think it's an eye-opener. I would really encourage everyone to take this course. And there were many guest speakers for some of the classes. And those were very enjoyable too. And one thing leads to the other. After I took the course, I realized there was so much more that can be done. So then I registered for some of the other courses which I've completed, and I'm still continuing to be a HUA student. At my age, if I can start doing this, I encourage young, old, youth, everyone to take these courses. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Great.
Wonderful. Anybody else wants to speak? Okay, if you're kind of thinking about it, you're wondering if you should do it, I think you should just take the plunge, and register right away. If you just put it off, then you'll lose the moment, and then you'll have to wait for the next quarter. Okay, any questions, anybody? I'd like to answer a few questions. You can raise your hands or type in a question.
We have one in the Q&A box from Dolji. Why has this paradigm issue happened for Hinduism versus others? So if you have a specific question you'd like Kalyanji to answer, please use the Q&A box. Yeah. It's got one question in there with Dolji, and write your question for Kalyanji in there and we can moderate easier. The chat window is more for the chatting.
Yeah. So, see, I think it's a remarkable thing, Dolji. that the situation that Hindus have been facing have been faced by other cultures and other civilizations. What has happened is they've all kind of collapsed. Like, for example, the so-called Roman and Greek civilizations, the Mayan, Aztec, and Inca civilizations in the South America, many of the African civilizations, and many, many others have simply collapsed. Hinduism has survived. Okay, so it's a miracle that it has survived, because what was attempted against the Hindus, what was done to the Hindus was pretty extraordinary. And the really extraordinary thing about it is we don't even know what happened, at least not entirely. We have some snatches of it here and there, but we don't really. So the narrative about the Hindus has been written primarily by outsiders to Hinduism. And we'll get a lot more about this in the Orientation to Hindu Studies course. And we'll go into the insiders paradigm, the outsiders paradigm, and how to distinguish the two, and how to uncollapse what is a completely collapsed paradigm for us.
Just on that insider outsider paradigm, there's so much to it. And this whole endonym exonym conversation, this is kind of a new part of the conversation, but we have a lot of wonderful reading that really explores that concept. It really appealed to me as a American born Hindu. What is it to be a Hindu in America, in that kind of insider outsider? And there was some chat, somebody saying we support Max Mueller, or we're holding up colonialist ideas like that. It's just a kind of a funny, comical misinterpretation of citing evidence and recognizing that the West and the colonials have, for hundreds of years, established this. We have to recognize it, understand it, address it, and then supplant it with our narrative. And the insider-outsider narrative is important. I think this Orientation to Hindu Studies course is a crucial part of the development in our own consciousness and understanding to gain that power and responsibility, legitimacy in the West.
Okay. Raghavendra ji has come on. Is he going to speak a little bit?
Oh, yes.
Thank
you, Kalyanji. The course I took in spring, it was very enjoyable. Enjoyable in the sense, it gives you a 10,000 feet view of what the ocean is all about. And then it's deep dive into streamlining yourself into how would you like to work in what areas of study. Which it will give you, if it is German Indology, or it is colonial, post-colonial, it will give you various facets into how you want to approach a particular problem, and then evolve with that, and even go to a master's and PhD levels. And that's exactly what this course will lead you to. And particularly the reading assignments are very important. The essay writing, you have to take it very seriously and write exactly. And it just encourages everyone to make sure that what exactly they want to do. Particularly in saying that yes, Hinduism is this, but the thing is, what exactly you want to do, contribute, and so many things that it just opens a Pandora box of things. Sorry, that's but it is recommended, highly recommended course. So you would get, it's not just like attending something in temple or somebody giving a lecture. It is not like that. Yes, attending Michel Danino's lectures or Balu's lectures, yes, they will give you very insightful, but this gives you a very idea of a broad spectrum of things, from the Vedic perspective all the way to the contemporary issues that is going on. And one can say, oh, okay, here is what I would like to do. Maybe it is yoga, take courses on yoga and develop over that, or maybe you want to take courses in Indology or Hinduism studies, that's what we call it. So it's very important to take this course. I'm just emphasizing and overemphasizing that. Thank you.
Great. Raghavendra, thank you so much. So somebody's asking, what does it mean to be a Hindu American? Well, you know what? I think that's a matter for discovery and exploration.
Yeah.
So if you can persuade your daughter to come on board with any one of our courses, either the orientation to Hindu studies or the exploring Hinduism for teenagers and parents, take one of those two courses, she can at least get into an exploratory space where she can attempt to discover that for herself. More than giving definitions, Hindu University of America is committed to enabling a space of discovery and exploration for all of you. And I really hope that you will experience the learning as something very, very enjoyable, meaningful, and impactful for every one of you. Savitriji, you want to say something? You have one more thing to say.
Yes. What a better day than Guru Purnima day.
That's right.
To start and register the course.
Yeah, that's right.
The course.
Perfect. So if anybody is still on the fence, please go ahead and just register, and we'll start the journey immediately, and things should unfold pretty quickly thereafter. We have only 3-4 days for the course to begin. You'll all be getting information, new user ID, how to log in, instructions on how to get on the learning management system. All that will follow right after you register. So kindly do it earlier than later. Don't wait till the very last minute to do it. All right. Is there any other question in the question box? Let's take a quick look.
Yep, separate courses issue. When are we offering applied Vedic science?
Yeah, why is there religious conflict in India? Well, whenever a religion thinks they have found the truth, and therefore all the others are only, whatever they say is only false, it creates a pressure, a dichotomy, a struggle for power, a struggle for truth. So it's a truth, the truth claim and the claim that the other is false. That's the source of religious conflict. And one good thing is, Hinduism does not claim that. It recognizes the multifaceted nature of truth. And it recognizes there are many, many perspectives to the truth. All we can get access to is a perspective. So it doesn't in and of itself, I don't think it's a source of conflict, but it has to defend itself against an onslaught of conversion, and proselytization, and so on. And when it does that, it attempts to defend itself, becomes a kind of conflict. It accentuates the conflict. Aztecs, Incas examples are good. Please contrast example Islam, Christianity. Yeah, I mean, Aztecs and Incas were not proselytizing, colonizing cultures. They didn't go out and rule the world, whereas Islam and Christianity did, and they're still doing. So that internal commitment to dominate the world, to go out and colonize and invade and convert, all of that comes with it. That's a source of enormous conflict. And then when you frame the conversation like, well, religions are a source of conflict, then what we end up doing is conflating all these things into the category of religion and making a general comment about the category itself, which fails to make the distinction that certain religions are drivers of conflict and violence, whereas others, elements of the set called world religions, are not the drivers of conflict and violence. Okay, any other questions? Let's see. Do we have, what if you do not need credit? It's okay, it doesn't matter. Really, it's a 1 credit hour course. You can take it. It doesn't matter if you don't want it, need it. That's totally fine. Okay, unfortunately, it is becoming less tolerant. Well, I think the media reports about it portray it as extremely less tolerant. But you have to find out who's driving the media reports, because media is not a very truthful space nowadays anymore. And a lot of money is going into shaping narratives in the media, as you probably have So Hinduism does not defend itself very well. That's because you and I don't defend Hinduism very well. We take it for granted. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, last call. Anybody? So let's put the link one more time. Anybody still interested? Please do register. You're going to get a. Is there one more survey to be done?
No, that was the last poll.
That was the last poll.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Did it ask the question, are you interested in Hindu orientation and Hindu studies?
Yes, we have not just interested, we had 20 people who are interested in enrolling in the summer specifically. 38 people said later.
Beautiful. Okay, so those 20 people, I encourage you very strongly to register if you haven't, and let's make sure we get them a follow-up email. All right, everybody, I think we're going to wrap up now. Thank you all for attending. Thank you very, very much for spending the afternoon with us on a Sunday, July 5th, and see you soon in a class at Hindu University of America. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Dhanyavadaha.